Howdy. Welcome to another book video. It's exciting. I'm gonna be talking about the books that I read and books that I also tried to read but DNF'd. So keep that in mind. So first book that I read it while I was away, and I read it on my Kindle. I read Taylor Jenkins Reid, another Taylor Jenkins Reid book, Evidence of the Affair, which is a very short story if you want something quick and easy to go through. I went through it. Evidence of an Affair, basically in the title. Trigger warnings if you want to read it, about cheating. Basically, these two people are writing letters to each other. One of them found evidence, or found letters from this guy's wife sent to her husband, them having an affair and all this stuff. They talk back and forth and talk about their lives. They talk and they talk about everything. I don't want to say it too much because it is a very short story, but it is really good. I highly recommend it for a short story. I haven't read many short stories, but this one does a pretty good job. I rated it 4.5 stars and I read it while I was away. Next up, I actually tried to read this book. It was on my TBR. I returned the book. You could rent it out through Kindle Unlimited. I started reading it. I got about 20% in and I just couldn't get back into it. I wanted to read it because it is a film, and that is Death on the Nile. I believe I just couldn't get into it because of the writing. The writing for me just wasn't it. I couldn't get into it. It is set in like the 20s, I think. I don't know. It's set very early 1900s. I can't really know exactly what happens because I just remember watching the trailer briefly. I was like, ooh, that's interesting. And now that I have started reading it, or I started reading, I DNF'd it. I'm just gonna get into it. I also watched the trailer after I gave up, just DNF'd the book, and it doesn't overly interest me that much anymore, which is surprising. But if I end up watching it, I'll watch it if it's on TV or something, who knows. But yes, Death on the Nile, DNF, just wasn't for me. Next up, another book on I started reading, well, I read it on my Kindle. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and that is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. And oh my god, I freaking love that book. I loved it that much that I brought it. Love this book. Lynn Painter, mwah. For a YA romance book, I loved it. The fact that it quotes freaking movies like 10 Things I Hate About You, like at the start of every chapter it quotes a rom-com. Chapter 4 starts off with "You're not as vile as I thought you were." 10 Things I Hate About You. This book, loved it. It is enemies to lovers. It follows Liz and Wes. Liz and Wes are neighbors. They live, obviously neighbors live right next to each other. There's a car park right up front of their houses and they fight over it every single day. They always just fight over the car park. Best person gets there, they prank each other, stuff like that. And then one day Michael comes back to the town. He left with his parents when he was young-ish, I think. Anyway, they moved back and Liz has always had a crush on him. So she goes to Wes and is like, I'll make you a deal. You help me get Michael and you can have the car park for the rest of the life, like the whole time in high school, like until I'm off to college. And he goes, deal. And bruh, this book, I love it. It is one of my favorite it's my five star for this year. And I think I've only had 3 so far this year. 5 stars. Lynn Painter, you freaking goddess. And like I post on my Instagram story and on my actual Instagram, I made a post about it, and she reached out and she commented and she liked and she said thank you, and just I love it when authors do that. They make my day. I'm like, oh my gosh, absolutely. But yes, Better Than the Movies, highly recommend reading it. It is closed door, like there is no spice or anything in it. It is just mwah, chef's kiss, like 5 stars. Another book, I actually DNF'd this last night, and that is Red, White and Royal Blue. I couldn't get into it. Like I was slowly losing interest in it when I was reading it, and then I stopped, and then I got back into it, and then I stopped again, and now I tried to pick it up again and I just couldn't get back into it, so it's DNF'd. And I have like just over 100 pages to go, so we don't talk about it, okay? I'm gonna keep it, but like we don't talk about it. I'll just watch the movie or show when it comes out. I DNF'd it. I just couldn't. There are the books. I read 2 this month. 2. Not a lot. That's not a lot. That's honestly very little compared to what I've read in the past. But I'm still proud of myself. I found a new favorite and I read a short story. Read another Taylor Jenkins Reid book. So, yes.